Broadcasting from the O'Reilly Auto Parts studio. What is up? A very good Monday to you. I am Jim Rome. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Nice to have you here. What's up? Hope you had a great weekend. I had an amazing weekend. I'll tell you about that a little bit later on. But great to be with you on this Monday. Let's go ahead and do this thing. First hour is wide open. I've got 3 interviews, 2 in hour number 2, 1 in hour number 3, but none scheduled for hour number 1. So let's go ahead and open this thing up right now. 1-800-636-8686. 1-800-636-8686. Coming off an amazing week of phone calls, right? Let's see if we can start this week off good, too. Also, I've got an email address which you can use, Rome, R-O-M-E, at haveatake.com. Follow me on Twitter at Jim Rome. And today, I've got a few different rants that are going to require you to see video on Facebook. Facebook.com/Jim Rome. Facebook.com/Jim Rome. A few of our rants have video components that you have to check out. This guy's already on to me. Right out. Before I can even tell you who I'm going to have on the show, I'll go right to an email. Rome, I've got on a hazmat suit, a catcher's chest protector, and a football helmet. I'm ready. Let's go to the phones. War documentary is being made about last week's phone calls. Stevie, SLC. Well, the problem with it is we would need subject matter like last week to get phone calls like that. Now, I can go ahead and reset the things we talked about last week. I prefer not to, but if you wanted to call then and didn't get through, go ahead, take your shot. Again, 800-636-8686. Coming up next hour, I've got interviews with Chris Long and Marvin Lewis. Coming up in hour number 3, Sean Mannion, Oregon State quarterback. So let's go ahead and do it. I actually want to start today with some baseball. And I want to talk more about the code. And I want to talk about Big Papi and the Red Sox and the Rays. Listen, at this point, I really do not care how much pitchers hate it. I am going to tip my cap to Big Papi for flipping his bat. Because in so doing against the Rays, he just took a bat to the baseball code itself, and everybody should take notes from David Ortiz. This is how it's done.
Go, Ortiz drives one to deep right field. Back goes Kiermaier, and it is gone. 3-run home run for David Ortiz, his 25th of the year.
David Ortiz gets a changeup this time that stays inside. David knows it right away, slings the bat toward the dugout, and then watches it.
Can I tell you, it was an honor and a privilege to watch a modern master at work. I mean, bravo, Papi, bravo. Just check his attention to detail. The immediate one-handed flip. The long look over at his dugout. The 3 steps of walking before he even considers getting into a jog. And, of course, the slowest trot in the league. It is the stuff of legends.
There they go, and the pitch sent high in the air to deep right field. Back goes Kiermaier to the wall. 3-run homer. David Ortiz.
You see the replay here, and you couldn't have put that changeup on a tee any better for David Ortiz. I mean, that was a BP fastball that when he hit it, he knew he did. Hit it out of here for a homer. He tossed the bat away nonchalantly and then jogged around the bases. Then he wonders why he gets drilled.
Yep. And that was a pretty slow trot. That was a very slow jog. That's like being on a treadmill and getting that thing slow enough that you can walk. You don't have to jog. You don't have to trot. You're walking. And, of course, for Rays pitcher Chris Archer, that's the kind of thing that will get a dude dotted.
When it comes to him on the field, I don't know what makes him think that he can showboat the way he does, and then nobody retaliate. Nobody look at him a funny way, or nobody pitch him inside. He feels like he's bigger than the game. He feels like this show is all about him, which in reality, if I don't walk Daniel Nava, and if I don't give up an infield single to Pedroia, his 1 home run means nothing. I hope that he realizes that there's more that goes into it than just him.
My response to that, in a word, wah! Bro, he did a bat flip, not a back flip. All of that over a bat flip. I gave up a bomb and the guy who hit it looked like he enjoyed it. I hate this stupid game. Hey, Chris, if you don't like the way he acts after he takes you deep, try keeping him in the yard. And who died and left all the pitchers in charge anyway? Other than having a ball in their hand, who are they to decide what guys can and cannot do? And Poppy's response to Archer was perfect. Quote, whatever, dude. He's not the right guy to be saying that. I don't know. Or I don't think. You know, you got 2 days in the league. Quote, end of quote. In other words, do you know who the hell I am? Do you know who the hell you are? In this case, Archer and every other hypersensitive pitcher haven't noticed. In case they haven't noticed, baseball has become nearly as long, slow, and boring as soccer. A few more bat flips and slow, painful trots around the bases is exactly what that sport needs. I didn't think it was possible, but pitchers are getting more and more sensitive. Once again, a bat flip, not a back flip. I wish the guy would do a backflip. That'd be awesome. Imagine Big Poppy coming out of the box doing a backflip. How about a series of backflips up the first baseline? You know, round-offs, backflips, like a gymnast. It'd be incredible. 1-800-636-8686. The time to take a bat to that code once and for all. So the guy styled a home run, so be it. All right, I want your thoughts on that, the code. You know, for a long time, I bought into the so-called code, old school, Don Drysdale, Bob Gibson. Enough's enough. Yeah, you can hit that home run off me, but you put your head down, you run really fast around the bases. Quote, he thinks he's bigger than the game. Now, I think he's helping the game. Little emotion's a good thing. Hey, Rome, looks like Chris Archer got a little sloppy to Big Poppy. Instead of complaining that Poppy admired his home run a little bit too much, Archer shouldn't have pitched a big fat meatball over the dish to one of the best sluggers in the game. Quit complaining about the code and start making better pitches, kid. Southside Mike in Chicago. That's my thing. Pitchers are great like that. All right, you can take me deep. I made a mistake. You capitalized. You did it. But don't you dare acknowledge it. Don't you dare admire it. Don't you dare take more than the designated time to get around the bases. Once again, who died and left these guys in charge? All right, so in addition to that, I want to talk about some other things, including Johnny Football. Everything was supposed to fall right into place for Johnny Manziel. Johnny Football, once he got back to playing football. That's not necessarily the case. Obviously, the Browns do have concerns about the way he partied this offseason. Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the team, upon his arrival said, quote, we expect better from him. So I will get into that once again, because Manziel did show up and he did address the issue. And one of the first things Manziel did when he got to camp was remind the media why he's so popular. Very strange. And I'm going to need some time to get into it, and I'll have that for you a little bit later on. 1-800-636-8686. Manziel, in so many words, Manziel's like, you need to understand. People love me. And you need to understand why they love me, why I'm so popular. And it's not just because of what I do on the field. It's also because of what I do off the field. I mean, you know who the hell I am. Jay Football. People love me. I'm crazy famous, in case you haven't noticed. Strange, but I'll get into it later on. In the NFL, good time of year, in the sense that everybody thinks they're going to do something amazing. And NFLers are saying crazy, crazy things right now. Things like Morris Claiborne saying that Dallas is going to have the best defense in the NFL. Wait, what? They had one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year, and they've lost a number of key guys. But this is the type of thing that guys say when camp opens up. You know, things like Geno Smith saying he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. Wait, what? In the NFL? Geno? I'll have those stories. I want to talk about Marshawn Lynch. Now, we did hit on this last week, that he was going to hold out, and that holdout may turn into a retirement. I did cover that last week, but that was before his head coach, Pete Carroll, said, and I quote, we expect him to honor his contract. That's rich. That's rich. An NFL coach saying we expect the player to honor the contract. You mean that one-way contract that they all signed where you don't have to honor it if you don't want to, but you expect him to honor it? That's rich. More thoughts on that later on. You know what America loves? America loves a bad before and after pick. Before and after picks. They're incredible, right? When people used to look amazing and then they look terrible, or they used to look terrible and now they look amazing. I love it. I love it both ways, to be honest. I've got one of the best ones ever involving a former major leaguer, which I will have. And it's amazing because the guy actually rocks a picture on his body to illustrate the before and after. You may or may not have seen this. There is an absolutely amazing piece of video of a convenience store clerk in Houston who was at work one day doing his job when a coworker had made a run to the bank, came back to the store, got out of his car, got jumped by several scumbags, and the clerk saw the whole thing, jumped out, and beat the hell out of all of them. The scumbags in question did not know that the clerk was a former 5-time Sri Lankan MMAer of the year. It is absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. In fact, I'm going to put that up on Facebook.com/Jim Rome so you can see it. I cannot begin to do it justice. It's one of the greatest videos I've ever seen. And the guy's great, too, the way he's interviewed and the way he lays it out. Hey, Jim, I can't decide. Every time I start to think that Manziel is kind of cool, he sucks me back in. Can this guy get off the D-bag fence and pick an identity? Kevin and Cincy. Essentially what my take is all about. You know what's going to come down to? How he plays. How he plays. If the guy balls up in the NFL the way he did in college, then he's got it. Then he's a personality. Then he's a celebrity. If he can't win that job, or he gets that job and he looks no better than Whedon, Couch, Quinn, any of the others who came through, then he is nothing but a D-bag. It's all going to come down to how he plays. But the Browns as an organization clearly were not happy with him and let him know when he went to camp. Otherwise, he would not have gone out of his way to say things like, I made some mistakes. I need to be more professional. The problem with Johnny Football is he says that, but then he chases it with, and by the way, I'm not changing. I'm not changing. I've got an amazing life. I know I have an amazing life. I'm going to live that life. Well, which one is it? You made mistakes and need to be more professional, or this is who I am, deal with it. It can't be both. He wants it to be both. So we are going to get into all those things now. Number one. Let's go ahead and do this on a Monday. At Camping World, we feature the very best RV products at the very best prices to fit your budget. Join 250,000 happy RV buyers who all enjoy rock bottom pricing on everything, such as travel trailers starting at $109 a month, motorhomes as low as $399 a month, with finance rates starting at 4.99%. When you buy an RV from Camping World, you gain access to our Good Sam Elite loyalty program, offering incentives valued at over $2,000. Get road ready with RV service specials from your trusted ProCare team. And Camping World has over 10,000 products and accessories for the RV lifestyle. Chairs, bikes, grills, and more. It is very simple. We will beat every dealer's price, and we guarantee that. With over 100 supercenters nationwide, we have you covered with one-stop shopping for everything RV. Visit campingworld.com and find a supercenter near you. Payments not inclusive of tax, title, license, and dealer dock fees. Where applicable, see dealer for complete details. That's Camping World. Check it out right now. I felt like a good reaction to David Ortiz, both pro and con. Drew in West LA tweets at Jim Rome. Maybe dudes should just lay the bat on the ground after a jack. Unwar talking to someone when they are wearing mirrored sunglasses. Remain Eater at Jim Rome. He writes, from a Sox fan, Dear Poppy, don't talk smack when you're sitting in dead last. Show some class, hit, sit, and stay down. All right, there is something to that. I will give you that. When you're styling and profiling and admiring, when you're sitting in dead last, that's not a great look. Not a great look. But to me, it's a bigger picture than that. If you want to isolate that component of it, you're right. You're right. That's not great. But I'm talking more about the code. And we've been talking about the code all season long. K Wolf 1969 tweets at Jim Rome. Ortiz is a little bitch. Wore the Rays pitchers, putting one in his ear. Wolf in Sarasota. Hey, look, they don't like each other at all. But a lot of you have also pointed this out. Archer, the guy in question, the guy who gave up the jack and then called out Ortiz, earlier in the year, he punctuated the end of an inning with a big celebration. I've got no problem with that against the Red Sox. I've got no problem with that. That's my point. At this juncture, if a pitcher wants to stare a guy back into the dugout, I've got no issue with that. If a guy wants to come off the mound pumping his fist, I've got no problem with that. If a batter flips his bat, I don't have an issue with that. I mean, give us a little bit of personality. For instance, Fernando Rodney. Remember when he got out of the 8th inning, a jam against the Angels recently, and he broke out his arrow and shot it into the dugout. Remember that? Then remember how the Angels woke up after that fact, and in the 9th inning, they came back and they got him and they walked off? Remember who two of the most demonstrative guys were? Albert Pujols and Mike Trout. Both went back and got their own arrows. Those guys never show that kind of emotion. Would never, ever do something like that. That's why I'm fine with it. And it was awesome. Rodney started it. The Angels finished it. And you've got two guys who would never, ever roll like that. How is this bad for baseball? Time to break that code. Bust it up, start over. I don't have a problem with a batter flipping his bat, and I don't have a problem with a pitcher staring him back into the dugout. More of that would be good. And maybe baseball wouldn't be so long, so slow, and so boring. Hey, Van Smack, I know you hate soccer. Let me stop you right there. I don't hate soccer. I just don't like soccer at all. Hate's a strong word. I say that word for things I really, really hate, but things that are inherently evil. Like mimes. Mimes. I hate mimes. I hate mimes. Hey, Van Smack, I know you hate soccer, but at least you get 2 halves, 1 set of commercial breaks, and no more than a couple of hours. Baseball in person is great. Baseball on TV makes me want to off myself. Also, love that move where the idiot batter fixes his glove, spits his chaw, grabs his junk 3 or 4 times, then asks for time so he can do it all again. The last 2 minutes of a college basketball game think that baseball takes too long. Andy from Denver. Make the world a better place. Ban Lance. Lance who? Lance Armstrong? Lance from Topeka? Who Lance? What Lance? All right, so where'd he come out? Where'd he come out on the code? Next topic, Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel. I mentioned, once he got out of his off-season partying ways, it was all supposed to fall into place once he got back to playing football. Remember, his whole thing was, my time, I can do what I want. It's not interfering with my preparations for the season. Well, now he's in camp, and so it's supposed to be all about him playing football. But so far in Browns camp, the rookie rock star has been outplayed by Brian Hoyer. And also he got backhanded by his boss. Browns owner, Jimmy Haslam, apparently is still bent about the rolled up bills and the money phones, and he told Manziel, great athletes make news on the field, not off of it. And he added, quote, we expect better from him. End quote. Fair enough, Jim. Just know this. Johnny says he cannot run and gun unless he's having fun.
The reason that I'm popular, the reason that people follow me and there's been such a buzz around me is when I went out on Saturdays at Texas A&M, I played with an extreme amount of passion. I played with my heart on my sleeve, but more than anything, I had fun. I have fun playing this game. I have fun going out on this field playing football. It's what I live for. It's what I do. Same way off the field. Will I continue to get better being a professional and learn lessons about life? Of course. I'm 21 years old, and age is not an excuse, but I need to mature, and I have done some immature things. But moving forward, I'm going to try and mature and get better and handle myself better as a professional. And that's really, all I can say about that.
First of all, did I really just hear a rookie explain to the media what makes him such a star? What makes him so popular? Did he really start off by saying, look, you all need to know why people like me so much? He may as well have just said, great to be here at my first camp. Here's a little Johnny for Dummies. This is why I'm so popular. This is why people like me so much. This is why there is so much buzz around me. This is why I've got so many Twitter followers. This is why I am selling more jerseys than anybody in the NFL, and I haven't taken a snap yet. Y'all take notes and hold your questions. I don't think y'all know that I'm friends with Drake. Hoyer's not friends with Drake. He probably doesn't even know Kevin Durant. Yeah, I actually do have one question, Mr. Mansell. Sir, you've acknowledged that you've made mistakes, but you insist that you're not going to change. So which is it, kid? Because it sounds to me like you just told your new boss to talk to the hand. Look, he's right. Fans do love his act off the field. Well, some of you hate it, but a lot of you love it. But the reason you love it is mostly because he wins on the field. They will tolerate him hanging with Bieber because he hangs 40 on Alabama. You can mount as many inflatable swans as you want on your off day as long as you kill it between the lines on game day. Produced on Sunday, and the dog pound will worship you, but if you don't ball up, they will tear you up. But thank you for the refresher on what made you a legend in college. But that means absolutely nothing right now. What you did to Alabama means nothing, unless you can do the same thing to Pittsburgh and Baltimore. If you're not a baller on Sundays, you're just another bag on Instagram. Have fun with that. In the meantime, earlier today, there was a tweet from Don Banks, who writes for SI. Quote, I am not making this up. The Browns are playing You've Got to Fight for Your Right to Party at practice.
You gotta fight for your right!
So if you're looking for this guy to stop partying, you might want to remove that from your playlist. They got that going at practice right now. Again, so which one is it? Are you good with him doing what he's doing, or do you want him to check himself? Are you fine with him being Johnny Football off the field, or, quote, do you expect better from him? In the meantime, Hoyer's out in front of him, and there are plenty of people that like Hoyer, too. Hoyer looked pretty good until he got hurt. Hey, again, I'm fine with it. I was mostly fine with it until we started doing it every single weekend. So we'll find out. You just know this. They loved you because of what you did on the field, not what you did off the field. Yeah, from a social media standpoint, you're killing it. There is some intrigue there. But nobody will think that's cool if you're getting your brains beaten in on the field. It's only cool because you balled up on Saturday. If you do it on Sunday, you'll be fine. Hey, Rome, not only do I support bat flipping, I encourage it. But why stop there? I think Ortiz should have capped his bomb off with a TO caliber celebration and slammed his batting helmet on the diamond. Maybe perform some magic tricks with home plate after rounding the bases. Tell me you wouldn't get shivers if you saw him pull a coin behind the catcher's ear. Nick and the Natty. War batters doing the worm on the pitcher's mound after going yard. What, you mean like go stand on the Rays emblem and slam your bat off it? I've come around on this. I used to think that was kind of a bad play, but baseball is getting longer and slower and more boring, and soccer is catching up to it in this country. Show a little personality now. I'm not saying disrespect the game. I'm not saying disrespect the other guy. I'm saying show a little personality now. They do it in every other sport. It's fine. Pitchers can do it. Batters can do it. Let's see it. I mean, who are the guys you like in Major League Baseball? Guys that have some flair. Yasiel Puig. Bryce Harper. Guys with personality. Got Chris Long coming up at the top of the hour. And I want you to go to Facebook.com/Jim Rome. So when we get it up, you can check out the convenience store clerk that beat down a bunch of would-be scumbags who tried to knock over a coworker who had money with him. It's incredible. And the so-called before and after pick. All of that still ahead. And Chris Long and Marvin Lewis and Sean Mannion still ahead. Quick reminder, sign up to be an O Rewards member and earn $5 back for every $150 you spend. It's fast, it's easy, it's free. It's only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. See store for details. All right, so I think we've all had a coach or a teacher tell us that if we put our mind to it, we can accomplish anything. Yet that's not really true. That's why I'm not going to put my mind to becoming an Olympic pole vaulter, because all I'll accomplish is a broken spine. It's not really what it seems. I mean, that's why thousands of English majors who put their mind to writing the great American novel are currently washing dishes at the Great American Diner or Coffee House. And it's the same reason why NFLers all think that they're all pro, and it's not even August yet. I mean, quoting everybody in every NFL camp, that's what's great about this time of year. Everybody's in first place. We haven't even lost a game yet. Yeah, most people are laughably delusional when they say things like that. Take Cowboys corner Morris Claiborne. He says Dallas's goal is to have the best defense in the NFL. The Cowboys, the best defense in the NFL. Look, I understand you're supposed to set your goals high, and what would I expect the guy to say? But the best defense in the NFL, when it looks like it would be a miracle if the boys' D finishes in the top 25. They were 32nd in the NFL last year. 32nd last year. And they don't have guys that they've had in the past. Sean Lee. DeMarcus Ware. I mean, come on. 32nd last year? And you're going to be number one this year? Doubt it. I really have no idea why you're bumping your gums. I mean, why not just set a goal of shutting out every single team you face and finishing 19-0? Why stop there? Yeah, I expect us to have the best defense in the NFL. And by the way, nobody's scoring on us. Ever. Our goal is to not only have the best defense in the NFL, but to not be scored upon once this year. In fact, I don't think anybody's going to get a first down against us this year. I feel that every time this defense takes the field, we have the ability to turn the other team over. And then every single time that happens, it should be returned and housed for a touchdown. I mean, let's not get crazy, Mo. I understand they've got you there for things like that, but let's not get crazy. I mean, what's next? Geno Smith saying that he's going to be an all-pro? Actually, yes. The G-Man says he expects to be a top 5 guy. A top 5 quarterback. Geno, what? You mean in the NFL? My man, I'm not even sure you're top 5 in the AFC East. You see, NFL preseason is LOL delusion season. The pads aren't even popping yet, but bad teams are preaching Super Bowl and naive players are setting impossible goals. Top 5 quarterback in the NFL? Gee, I'm not even sure you're the best quarterback on your own team. You can't be one of the best in the entire league if you're not even necessarily the best on your team. And I'm not sure you are. But it's that time of year. This email says, quick question, Rome. Which happens first? Geno Smith sits aside Manning, Breeze, and Rodgers as the game's best quarterback, or Lance is rubbing elbows with Brad, Mark, and Mike as the jungle's best callers. Who you got? Boy, that's tough. That is not an easy question to answer. That is not an easy question to answer. Geno sits aside Manning, Breeze, and Rodgers as one of the game's best quarterbacks, or Lance is rubbing elbows with Brad, Mark, and Mike as one of the jungle's best callers. I don't know. I mean, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I think it might be Lance.
Hey, Jason and Little Rock, you are a
if Lance would just stop singing and somehow came up with good sports takes, it would be him. As far as Geno, like, I can make that argument for Lance. If Lance would stop singing and I could surgically implant good sports takes into him, then he could be it. I'm trying to make an argument for Geno being in the top 5, and I really can't. What do I change about him? No, that guy you're listening to right there, I really think has a better chance of being one of the best callers on this show than Geno Smith has of being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I just can't make an argument for it.
Prepare yourself for spending 50 years.
And that's a terrible caller right there. And a pretty bad singer. Thanks, Lance. Yeah, I don't know. It's that time of year when people just say crazy things. Everybody's unbeaten, and everybody's going to have the best defense, the best offense, a top 5 quarterback. We'll see. I don't suspect those two things I mentioned, though, either one of those things will ever come close to happening. I just don't see it. 1-800-636-8686. I love how the mime nation is upset. Is there anybody who's a part of the nation other than somebody who's a mime? Hey, mimes, pick up the phone and voice your opinion. Oh, that's right, you can't. You don't speak. Or you're caught in a windstorm and you can't get to a phone. Or you're trapped in a glass box and they don't have phones. Or you ran out of makeup. Well, I'm trying to call Rome, but I'm getting blown away. Hey, mime, just grab that rope and pull yourself back in. I said there's really nobody I hate except mimes. Subject of this is, watch your mouth about mimes, bro. Jim, you have no idea how hard we have it. You think you're such a tough guy. Try climbing an invisible rope or pulling imaginary strings for hours on end, and then you come talk to me. You had better hope that I don't finally find a way out of my imaginary box, because if I do, the metallic silver man and I are coming for your ass. Nick in the Natty, moonlighting mime. I've got no issue with the silver man. The silver man is like the most interesting man in the world compared to the mimes. I have no quarrel with you, sir. I have no quarrel with the metallic silver man. He never did anything to anybody. Mimes annoy everybody. Hey, mime, stop acting like you're some kind of crazy artisan. You're playing charades for change on a street corner. You are what you are. Stop acting like you went to Juilliard or something. Like you're some incredible artist. Like you're up on some amazing stage. Stage of what? Life? You're on a street corner. You're not at Carnegie Hall, sir. You're not even at the Hollywood Bowl. You're not even at the Irvine Verizon Amphitheater. But you know who is? Journey, this weekend. Journey Steve Miller Band. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the giveaway, right? Is Mike and Chael coming? All right, so what I discovered was Chael gave the entire prize package to Mike. What is Mike doing with the prize package? All right, Mike. I expect you to call in and let me know how it went. Or goes. And one more thing before I go to break. I want to congratulate all you Cavalier fans. At least the ones who kept your Braun gamers. LBJ decides to go back to number 23, so you do not have to throw down for a new number 6 jersey. So go ahead and rock it with pride. As long as you haven't already torched it with kerosene. Hope you kept that 23. I'm telling you, everything comes around. Should not have been so impulsive. Should not have burned that jersey in the street. Got some mime wearing that torch jersey right now. He picked it up out of the embers, put it on. Chris Long coming up at the top of the hour. We'll come back and wrap this hour. In the meantime, 1-800-636-8686. Still to come. A convenience store clerk who beat down some would-be robbers. Went MMA on their ass. It was incredible. And Pete Carroll saying, I expect Marshawn Lynch to honor that contract. Again, pretty rich. Pretty rich of any NFL coach to say that about a player when teams never have to honor contracts. All of it still ahead. You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. Back and forth. Red Sox and Rays. This one says, Romy Rome, the Devil Rays have always been a bunch of bitches. The next time Poppy goes yard against the Rays, he should pull out his iPhone, snap a pic, and while he walks around the diamond, he should tweet the pic with hashtag moonshot. Big Poppy is a 3-time world champ and the greatest clutch hitter of all time. He can do whatever he wants. Son Jimmy in P-Town wore 96.3, the Big Jab. That's our Southern Maine affiliate. The Big Jab is nice. I used to talk about it when sports radio took over. There were so many stations that kind of went straight. You know, they went safe. They went the ticket. the game, MVP, the ump, the animal. I've never seen the big jab before. Southern Maine, 96-3, the big jab. Jimmy, way to represent the big jab. And that essentially was Ortiz's point. You know, who are you? You've got maybe 2 days in. In short, you know who the hell I am? In short, do you know who the hell you are? I mean, even Carl Yastrzemski, no less an authority than Yaz, was saying over the weekend that Poppy is the second greatest Red Sox hitter ever to Ted Williams. All right, so again, I'm going to ask you where you come out on this. Is it low class? Is he showing guys up? Should he stay down? Should he not be acting like that when they're having as bad a year as they are? Or are pitchers just way too uptight? Are the Rays way too uptight? Personally, I'm going to go with that. All right, as we go to hour number 2, it's going to be a busy one. I've got St. Louis Ram Chris Long. That's coming up next to start the hour. Later on, Bengals head coach Marvin Lewis. Both those things coming up next hour. I want to remind you, go to Facebook.com because I've got a few video components that you need to see to follow along. You'll like the take much better if you can see what I'm talking about. Go to Facebook.com/Jim Rome. Made a Del Mar run over the weekend. It was absolutely epic. I want to talk about that later on. And Oregon State quarterback Sean Mannion joins us in hour number 3. You're in the jungle. I am Jim Rome. Chris Long joins us when we return. This is CBS Sports Radio. Broadcasting from the O'Reilly Auto Parts studio, I am Jim Rome. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. What's up? We go into hour number 2. Hope you had a good weekend. Nice to have you here. Coming up this hour, I've got St. Louis Ram defensive end Chris Long. That's coming up momentarily. Bengals head coach Marvin Lewis coming up at 40 past the hour. And to start this hour, we have a short email. Okay, Jim, if Teddy Ballgame is number 1 and Big Papi is number 2, where do I rank on the all-time Red Sox hitters list? Holler back. Signed Nosemar Garcia Pop-Up. Brett and KC. Really, Brett? No, I mean, really, Brett? Nosemar Garcia Pop-Up. You've been warned. Don't do it again. It's lame. We spent the first hour talking about the code in Major League Baseball, Red Sox v. Rays, Big Papi, getting an earful from Chris Archer. Talked about Johnny Football showing up in Cleveland and owner Jimmy Haslam saying, quote, we do expect better from him. All right, more of that in a minute. But as promised, we are joined by a defensive end for the Rams. 40 tackles, 8.5 sacks, and a forced fumble last season. An All-American and an ACC Defensive Player of the Year at Virginia. He was the second overall pick back in the 2008 draft. The Rams open up their year versus Minnesota September 7th. We are joined by Chris Long. Chris, good to have you back. How are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
Good, Chris. Let me ask you something. You had an awesome tweet about training camp. I want to jump right into it. You said, quote, training camp is like being punched in the face, knowing it's coming but having to wait for over a month, end of quote. Lay that out for me. What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, anybody that's been through an NFL training camp, and, you know, I say that, obviously, if there's anybody older that's been through a pre-CBA training camp, there's an asterisk next to the statement because it is a lot easier. But just the fact that you kind of have all July off to just kind of stew and think about it, and everybody else is kind of enjoying their summer, stress-free, hanging out by the pool, hanging out by the water, catching some rays, and really, I don't spend much time not stressed out in July because you know what's coming, and it's not really just the physicality of it as a grind. It's the pressure, and it's the impetus to perform and help your team, and you know, bring it every day. Starting you know, late July, it's a marathon, and it doesn't stop until the next calendar year. So, you know, that's just the kind of pressure you feel in the month of July, and you know it's coming, but you can't do anything about it, and finally it's there, and we're a couple days into it now, so I've gotten the first sucker punch in the face. if you will, and we get the pads on tomorrow, so it'll be really good.
Chris Long joining us. What a great answer. That's awesome. Let me ask you this. I mean, the way it used to be as compared to the way it is right now with the CBA, and you touched on this, is it easier right now? Are your Julys any better because of it right now? And compare the way camp is now compared to when you first came in.
Well, listen, I mean, there's the comparison of camp now to what it was like when I came in the league, and then, of course, when I talk to my pops, you talk about those guys in the 80s and what they went through in the early 90s and, into the 2000s, I guess. I mean, camp was just rougher and rougher the further you go back. I mean, you talk about the way my dad explained it to me is that, you came to camp to get in shape, and that's why the guys had 6 weeks straight of basically two-a-days. Nowadays, guys are expected to be in shape all year round, and so we get off a little bit easier on the football practice end of the spectrum. And when I first got into the league, there were two-a-days, and there wasn't, I don't think, any restriction on how many you could have or how many consecutively you could have. And nowadays, it's really pretty easy, relatively speaking, from a physical aspect of it. You get 3-4 days in a row and you have a day off. And I think it's good. I mean, I know you hear about people saying the game is diminishing, and I've heard people say that, but I think the game's really fast and physical, and, it's hard to keep up if you are doing those 2 days every day. So I feel confident that I'm going to be as healthy as I can be and as physical as I can be come that first week of September.
Rams defensive end Chris Long joining us. Chris, you talk about your pops, Howie Long. I'm kind of curious, if he says that back in the day they used camp to get in shape, as you were growing up and you saw him, for instance, like what were his off seasons like compared to what your off season's like now when you consider that this job is a full-time job year-round?
Well, it's funny. I mean, it was always for a guy like him, I think it was always a full-time job. He kind of always felt that pressure, and I know even when he was away from it, he was mentally there. He's that type of guy. So, growing up, I obviously wasn't as cued in, but looking back on it, I do see some similarities. And, when I talk about July, we'll be sitting at the dinner table in Montana where we vacation, and we're all together as a family, and somebody will say I look stressed out, and he's like, I know exactly what he's thinking. It's just, you're just kind of mentally in another place. You're already at work. So, and back then I do have some faint memories of him hitting a sled in the front yard in Montana in July or June or whenever it was. I had no idea the kind of immense pressure or that dark cloud looming over your head. I know there's a lot of excitement that goes into being an NFL football player, but you got to answer the bell too, and that's something that people that hold themselves to a high standard and want to work hard, even when they're away, I think they're working hard and their mind's elsewhere, and that was certainly true with my dad.
St. Louis Rams defensive end Chris Long joining us. Chris, you're entering your 7th year right now. You've yet to play in a playoff game. Does that get filed under the I can only control what I can control and I'm doing everything I possibly can, or is that part of the pressure, and is that kind of something that stays with you all the time?
It does stay with you. I mean, you put your heart and soul into it, and you're a part of a team. It's the ultimate team game. So you share the successes and failures with everyone else. But certainly when you're not succeeding as a team, you want to help that team win. And every year you have a great attitude going into camp, and I think I speak for everybody when you say, hey, I can be the reason why we turn this thing around, and I can be a big part of it. And you have to take that approach and control what you can control, but in doing that, try to help the team out. And I have, as hopeful an attitude as ever this year coming into it. And as you mentioned, not having had a lot of success before, I think it'll make everything all the more sweet when it does turn around, and it'll make you be able to appreciate it more. But we got some hungry people in this locker room. Not a lot of people who have been through the grind of the last 6 years, but a couple guys who have stuck around really want this thing bad.
I mean, so you're touching on it right now, Chris, but why are you as hopeful right now or more hopeful than you've ever been? What do you see in this group specifically?
Well, I see a lot of youth for sure. I'm 29 years old, and I'm the oldest guy in the defense, and that is it's hard for me to believe every day when I come to work, but that's got its upsides too. We're a really fast, physical football team right now, and Coach Fisher and Lesney did a great job of bringing in the right type of talent and kind of setting the table for this thing with speed, athleticism, physicality, and really hard-working guys. Team-oriented guys. We don't have a lot of egos on this team, so it's a nice mix of people. And I just think that some of the changes we've made through the draft and through free agency, kind of quietly, I guess so, have kind of put us in a position where, hey, if we can execute and take care of business on the field, and that's a big if, because that's always something that you always have reason for hope and looking forward to the year, but you have to execute, and that's what we got to do. If we can put it all together, I think we can compete for this division, and it is a really tough one, and we don't take that challenge lightly.
I mean, it's a meat grinder. Any doubt in your mind that that's the toughest division, the NFC West, in the NFL?
Yeah, I don't think it's that close either. And I think most people who are being intellectually honest would agree with that statement. It's you got the two teams that have been the last couple of years most consistently competing for the NFC title, the Super Bowl champs, and they kind of ran away with it. And Arizona, who wins double-digit games last year and doesn't make the playoffs. So every week we play a division opponent, it's a fist fight. That's the best way I can put it. And I really wouldn't have it any other way. I love that style of play. I love the fact that every day you show up in division and you got to really bring it. And I'm proud to be a part of the division. It's tough, but hey, if we're going to win, we got to win honest.
Yeah, if there's anything I hate, it's intellectual dishonesty. Yeah, you mentioned the draft.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, right. It's everywhere. You can't get away from it. You mentioned the draft. In your opinion, has Michael Sam been any kind of distraction?
No, I mean, it was a momentous occasion, so I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't a big deal. Now, a distraction's a whole different thing. We're a small market team, so we don't exactly have reporters flooding our training camps whether things are going well or not. So for us, we don't really have to deal with distractions generally. So I would think if it was, we would have noticed it, and it hasn't been. Michael Sam has done a great job of coming in, working hard, and expecting nothing, and just expecting to have an opportunity and be a part of this team. And he's done a good job with it. He really has. And for everything, that kind of situation that he decided that, hey, I want to come out and be who I am, which is a courageous thing. Everything that situation brings, he's done a good job of handling it. And he just continues to work hard. He's a rookie like everybody else here, and he has an opportunity. It's a tough ask of a kid to try to crack our lineup on the defensive line because we're very deep and we have a really good group. But he's giving it a shot, and he's doing a really good job.
I'll tell you, Chris, it's something. I'm kind of flashing back. I'm listening to you, and you kind of sound like Pops. And, yeah, Pops is edge, but maybe even more so. You got a lot of football still ahead of you. Could you see one day, look down the road, could you see following in his footsteps and doing what he's done after football, or is that something that wouldn't interest you?
No, you know what? He's done a great job with what he did, and I don't think he planned that. So I never say never. I do have a passion for the game. But I do think there's more to life than football. I definitely want to see what the future holds and kind of step back when I'm done. But, there's just so much on your mind now as an NFL player. It's hard to kind of predict and look in that crystal ball and see where you're going to be in, 5-6 years. For me, I don't think I'd want to be on TV like him. Everywhere he goes, somebody recognizes him. I'd like to kind of fly under the radar a little bit more. Actually, your job seems kind of cool being a radio guy. So, maybe one day I'll have a little local radio show or something.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, but wait, this is important though. Chris, what happens? Sorry to jump in, but what if somebody comes to you with a script like Firestorm 2? And I used to get such a kick out of talking to your dad about the movies, man. What was it like when he went through the movie stage, when he was killing that thing on the big screen? As a kid, what was that like?
It was cool. I didn't know what to make of it. It certainly adds to the recognizability factor. I think when he played, it's interesting because guys in that era didn't make most of their money playing football. So, he's been able to be most successful after football. He talks about being a rookie and making like $50,000 or something. I don't know, it was some ridiculous number. Yeah, sure. When guys get that opportunity after football, in the early '90s and so on, they're going to take it. So he dove right in, and I think my dad is a very competitive person. He really wanted to do a good job with it. And I thought he did a really good job for a football guy. And I think after doing it a couple times, he just realized his passion was commentating and kind of analyzing the game. He's extremely passionate about football. But he's a very talented guy. One thing about him that people kind of underrate is how intelligent he is. And I think that really shows through when you watch him on Sunday. So he's the type of guy that if you wanted to, I think he could be a coach, a GM, any of those things. But he's very comfortable having lived that NFL lifestyle and leaving it in the past, and those hours are such a grind. I think he's happiest just doing the Sunday thing with Terry and Jimmy and those guys, and he does a good job with it.
Can I tell you, he's killed it. He's killed it. He's gone after it. And I always say this about athletes, and sometimes they come to me and say, hey, listen, what should I do? If I want to get into broadcasting, what's the best way to go about it? And my advice is always the exact same way. Do not consider that some reward. You have to attack your second career like you did your first career, even if it doesn't seem as exciting. And your dad's always done that. I mean, he's always prepared like it was the most important thing, and it's paid off. Chris, you have no idea. Go ahead.
No, you see Sunday, but you don't see him all week. He's got these outlandish stacks of paper, and most people are going paperless. He's got like a foot-high stack of papers, and he's got 8 highlighters with 8 different colors. It's ridiculous, and he's just constantly doing his homework. And for somebody who knows the game as well as he does, you think he could just kind of show up and wing it, like I'm sure some guys do. But he takes pride in what he does, and, listen, he's a football player first, but he does a hell of a job on Sunday.
Yeah, what a great point. I mean, that whole paper thing, though, he does know about the iPad, right?
Yeah, well, he's learning, and that's scary. Technology in him, it's interesting. I think he's technologically cursed, so it's good for him to kind of not go paperless, and he's a throwback, so it works out well.
Wait, you held it down for more than 15 minutes, Chris. It's a near impossibility for any athlete on this show. Great job. Always good to talk to you, and thank you very much.
Hey, thanks a lot, man.
Great talking to you, Chris. God, it just reminds me so much of his old man. He's so good. He's so smart. It's a great interview. That's a 15-minute interview with a defensive end. 1-800-636-8686. I thought that was really curious, too. He said, yeah, the thing about my dad is he is on TV every single Sunday still. And he's visible, and I just don't know if I want that. He can't go anywhere without being recognized because he's always on TV. I think I want your gig. That radio thing sounds pretty good. The other thing I appreciate about that as we go to break, I love that the guy clearly is so proud of his father, and it's not weird like, oh, you can ask me about my dad again? And I wouldn't, but he went there on his own, and it's just a neat thing. I can remember talking to Howie about his kids when they were growing up, and he had that same kind of affection and affinity for them that they do for him. It's neat. It's a good family. Marvin Lewis coming up later on this hour. 1-800-636-8686. All right, when you are the top dog in your business, you see all the best deals first, plain and simple. That is why some of the leading floor manufacturers in the world come to Lumber Liquidators before anybody else does, because Lumber Liquidators is the undisputed king of flooring. That said, they just acquired truckloads of amazing deals from brands like Armstrong, and they are now passing the savings along to you this week only. How about clearance flooring for only 29 cents a square foot? 29 cents a square foot. or a solid 3/4 inch pre-finished gunstock oak for $189 a square foot. Maybe you want the easy to install option. How about quick click pre-finished gunstock oak for $159 a square foot? There are just a few of the deals right there that are going on this week at your local lumber liquidators, so you want to get in there before they're gone. Be sure to ask about our special 18-month financing on qualified purchases. To find a store near you, go to lumberliquidators.com. They are popping up everywhere. The company is killing it. Find a store by going to lumberliquidators.com. Again, my thanks to Chris Long, and especially for taking the time that he did to do that interview. A lot of back and forth still on Big Papi, Red Sox, and Rays. Day Tripper 20 tweets at Jim Rome, isn't there an official scorer Ortiz should be berating after his last hit was ruled an E4? Touche. All right. Justin Surdike 7 at Jim Rome. It's cute that the 5 Rays fans and their whiny pitchers are upset about Papi's bat flip. Stop complaining and win a ring, losers. You got that, you 5 Rays fans and pitchers? All right, go to Facebook.com/Jim Rome. Facebook.com/Jim Rome. This one is a little off the chart. But a hero has risen in Houston. Facebook.com/Jim Rome. You'll love this. A hero has risen in Houston. I mean, he'll sell you a Slurpee and some jerky. And if you try to make any trouble, he will knock you the hell out. When Premium Unleaded meets MMA, you get Myra Desaniaka. And if you try a rip and run in front of his quick E-Mart, you will get a vicious beatdown. You see, Myra is a semi-pro MMAer. He's a former Sri Lankan champion. He works the register at a convenience store at a gas station. And when he saw a coworker recently get jumped, he jumped over the counter and he turned it into the cage.
Myra Desaniaka works here selling sodas, snacks, and gas. But then 5 days a week when he leaves here, he goes to train in mixed martial arts. And earlier this month, all that training came in handy. Myra Desaniaka was behind the counter when he noticed his coworker returned to the store after a run to the bank. The men in this SUV were watching too because they went straight for the man in the bank bag as soon as he got out of his car.
That they did. Myra, lay it out for me. So he runs out there and he starts taking on multiple attackers at once. Exactly how did you see it, Myra?
Just the reaction, just you see someone get beat up, you just go out. The first guy I saw, I just kicked him in the face, then I punched the other guy. We learn like how to punch, how to kick, and like, you know, how to move. So all that stuff you can use in the streets.
No, I mean, he did that. It's exactly what he did. And if you see the video, it's incredible. He runs out there. He does kick the first guy in the face, and then he starts throwing haymakers on another guy. And he's standing and he's trading, and dudes are going down. And then one of the guys got left behind by the getaway car. I mean, that whole thing about never leave a man behind enemy lines. Well, you do if Myra Desaniaka is beating the hell out of him. This guy got out of the car, started to make a move to get his guy, and then saw Myra and wanted nothing to do with it.
One of the alleged robbers wants to go back for his accomplice and friend, but decides against it when Myra moves towards him. In the end, they left the guy, and just as he does in the ring, Myra put him in submission while he waited for police.
It wasn't really submission. He, put him to sleep, caught him with a hook, and kicked him a few times for good measure. Because, as Myra said, hey, I don't know if this guy's got a blade or any heat.
They were waiting for them, but when they were running back, I caught one guy with a hook, so he fell down. So they just left him. Just kicked him till he lays down in the floor until he stopped moving, because I wasn't sure if he had like a knife or gun, so I wanted him to stop moving.
So I beat the crap out of him. You got to see this video. Go to Facebook.com/Jim Rome. I absolutely love this guy. And after seeing him beat down those dirtbags, here's hoping Dana White signs him immediately. 3-on-1 obviously was not a fair fight. Not for those losers. And if there had been 10 of them, there would have been 10 faces getting kicked in. When asked what he thought when he saw those scumbags jump his coworker, Myra said, quote, "When you see someone get beat up, you just go out." End of quote. Well, you do, my man. Plenty of others in your position would have gone right under the counter. Then again, most dudes can't flip a switch and go from selling corn nuts and Rolos to becoming Bones Jones. Idiots beware. Next time you fill up, just get your Skittles and your $20 on pump 2, because you never know who might be behind that counter. The Big Dis doesn't just do cash or credit, he does strikes and submissions, and this cat will turn a chevron into an octagon. Absolutely amazing. Facebook.com/Jim Rome. You check the video and you tell me I'm wrong. I want you to see it, and I want to go with some of the comments. When we come back, Bengals head coach Marvin Lewis. But I want to reset the Big Dis. Myra, the Saniaka. This guy's legendary. First comment through. Maybe this place could hire Chael Sonnen. I'm sure he needs a job. They don't need Chael. They got Myra. Marvin Lewis coming up next.
You're listening.
Welcome back. I am Jim Rome. Find the brake parts you need at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Brands you trust like Brake Best Select, and Wagner Thermal Quiet, all at guaranteed low prices. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. We are joined right now by the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. He is entering his 12th season with the team. He is the winningest coach in team history. He was the coach of the year in 2009. Cincinnati won the AFC North last season. They open up at Baltimore on September 7th. That is a CBS game. Marvin Lewis joins us. Marvin, great to visit with you once again. How are things?
I'm doing good, Jim. How are you today?
I'm great. It's good to have you on. Thanks so much. Now, I noticed you ditched the Oklahoma drill yesterday, which has been a staple for years. It's a classic drill. The fans love it. The coaches have loved it. Why did you scratch it yesterday?
Well, I think in just evaluating where we are and things, we got an opportunity to basically do the same thing as the players joked with me later. But the fact that we got football where we could evaluate the drills afterwards on tape that really meant more to playing the game of football, break it down into the smaller pieces. So it's a little bit more productive day period rather than, basically 12, 13 minutes of guys, running their heads into each other.
Yeah, you also made the point, too, that it's not 2003. We now know who 35, 40 of the players are going to be. In fact, if you look over the last 10 years, it's not 2003. I mean, the game is different right now. Is it safer? Is it better? Is it just different? How has it changed in the last 10 years?
Well, I think there's no question that we're taking a lot of steps to make sure we're doing things that keeps the game safer. We only have, so many players. And I can't afford to get them. Every time someone gets injured, it takes a little piece of me away. So you're always conscious that as the head coach, particularly that you keep the guys healthy and moving forward, so that we're able to evaluate and literally choose the best 53 players.
Now you're in pads today, and then again on Wednesday, and then you have to start dialing it back under the new CBA rules. I mean, how is that impacting you as a coach? Are you able to be as productive as you'd like?
Well, Jim, it's really not anything to do with the CBA. It's just, I've always chosen to do it that way, and because I just think it's important that we have our health and our freshness as we enter into playing games. And, we're going to get to play live football on Thursday night over in Kansas City next week, and then come home and play the Jets. So we're going to play really good football teams, and we go out and play Arizona on a Sunday night and then Indy at home. 4 good football teams, playoff caliber teams, and that's the best thing about it is we're going to get a test this preseason. We're going to let our young guys get out there and play, guys that are fighting for position spots, guys fighting for more play time. So when we go out and play 11 on 11 against someone else with different colors helmets, we're only exposing 11 guys at once. So I'll try to do that as much as we can.
Cincinnati Bengals head coach Marvin Lewis is our guest. You started the OTAs this offseason by addressing the playoff loss to the Chargers. What did you say to your team?
Well, that we lost the football game collectively. It wasn't our quarterback. It wasn't the fact that we, whatever, all the different reasons, which the quarterback always gets plenty of the blame. But we turned the ball over collectively. Our great little runner and Giovanni Bernard had a miscue and fumble they never had all year. Our quarterback tried to run for a first down and dropped the ball. We threw an interception based on, and so we had some things. On defense, we didn't stop them on third down in the second half and never got off the field. So there was a lot that happened in the football game. We never made any game-changing field position plays on special teams. So we had a lead at halftime. We lost the lead. And so collectively as a football team, we lost the game.
In terms of your quarterback, Andy Dalton, this is how it is in that league. When things go well, you get a lot of credit. And when things don't, you take a lot of heat. And he certainly did take a lot of heat in that loss. How fair is that in your mind, and how do you think he's handled it?
Well, it's not fair, but it does come with the position, and he understands that. But he's a very strong-minded person and understands that. He's been playing quarterback as a starting quarterback his entire life, so he understands what the responsibilities and accountability that comes with that spot and knows that very well. But as coaches, we had to do a better job of putting our guys in position to be successful all the time too. So we're gonna shoulder the majority of the blame all the time as a staff.
Marvin Lewis, my guest. So where would you like to see Andy Dalton improve this season?
I think the biggest area that we want to continue to see Andy go forward and thrive is just literally being the guy that commands everything around here. And when he doesn't like something, let's get it done right, He'd be the one to speak up before you, Jackson, has to say, let's do that again or whatever. He knows what it's supposed to look like, how it's supposed to unfold, and continue to have the confidence in himself to continue to do that. And he's demonstrated that in through the off-season program in the first week here of camp. He's demonstrated those where he's taken those strides and steps, but he came here and had to fill some big shoes in replacing Carson, and he's really grown well into the position and has done a nice job.
What about A.J. Green? I mean, he's an amazing receiver and a great talent. Have you seen more of that from him so far this season?
Yeah, I think for A.J., what we'd like to see is the consistency throughout the entire season. We really have to get the same production late in the season as we do early on. And it comes for the entire team, that we continue to do things that provide the matchups and the one-on-ones that we can get A.J. in and really attack coverage.
Marvin, time will tell, but when you've got Dalton now in his fourth year, you've got Green in his fourth year, Giovanni Bernard and Tyler Eifert in their second seasons, at least on paper, might this be the most talented offense you've had?
We do, and you get Jermaine Gresham, who's going into his fifth season now, I believe, and has played a lot of football for us. Marvin Jones, Mo Sanu, the two receivers that are in their third season. So our offensive skill guys have now played together, a minimum of Andy's going into Andy's fourth year. So that we're in good shape that way. There's no question about it. And we've got, our offensive line, we retooled it, but we've got some guys there that we're continuing to get better and play together and get back to that cohesiveness that you have to play with as an offensive unit.
And what about that defense before you go? You've been using a phrase in camp. You want them to be smart bullies. What does that mean?
Well, we need to continue to play smarter. Mike did an outstanding job of convincing our guys how to play team defense and what team defense meant. And we've done a nice job of that. We've got guys that have grown into their positions. They take a lot of pride together. They do a lot of things together all the time, and we just want to keep growing that way. We've got to get better at turnovers is one thing in training camp we've worked hard on defensively, is we've got to create turnovers and get the ball turned over more often.
Marvin, you sound really refreshed to me. What's it like in the offseason? For instance, can you get away and unplug, or is it just full-time and can you never do that? And how do you prevent any kind of burnout and stay sharp?
Well, we do get away in the off-season. You have to. I mean, I think that's, if anybody that's in coaching, they know that we spend so much time once our time comes that we have to get away. You have to reconnect with family. You have to give them your time because you're not around as much during the season and they're entertaining people and so forth. And so you really have to spend time, get away, get together, do the things that you all enjoy together. And but what keeps you going is just the drive of watching guys do things that maybe people said they couldn't do, or they didn't believe wholeheartedly they could do, because my job is really instrumental, and I wouldn't have this job without these players, and that's what counts, is watch these players achieve their goals.
Marvin Lewis entering his 12th season with the Bengals and is the winningest coach in team history. Marvin, I appreciate the visit every single year. Thank you very much.
Oh, Jim, it's my pleasure. All right.
Great talking to you, Marvin. Let's do it again soon. Marvin Lewis joining us. And they open up the year at Baltimore September 7th. Once again, a CBS game. My thanks to him. Also on our Facebook page, plenty of comments. I told you that was great, right? Rarely does something live up to the hype, but a convenience store clerk coming out from behind the counter and beating down a bunch of hoodlums smashed the hype. It's just so cool about it, too. Dane, his comment reads, this gas station video is incredible. I honestly can't believe it. Some MMA guy actually has a job? Stop it, Rome. Come on, man. I've told the story numerous times. In terms of, quote, MMAers with jobs, these guys are among some of the more educated athletes I've spoken to. And that's not, don't wait for a punchline, that's true. College educated, thoughtful, that's not what it seems. Well, again, we're not talking about a bar fight. I'm talking about college educated people. It's a very technical sport. I think some of you just think, yeah, man, that's just a bunch of thugs in a barroom brawl. I mean, you know what the hell you're talking about? Do you ever watch MMA? It's an extremely technical sport. You can't really be a dummy and thrive. Drew in West LA at Jim Rome. Rome, why am I not surprised that MMA guy works at a gas station? Here they come. Here they come. Did you not listen to the interview? Did that guy not strike you as thoughtful? A 5-time Sri Lankan MMAer of the year. Does that sound like a guy that can't get another job? I'm shocked that that's where his job is. Not that he's in MMA and works, quote, at a gas station. Ted in Pittsburgh at Jim Rome. Wore the Houston convenience store clerk using the stale bagels and donuts from the day before as weapons. Son Joaquin. I am the walrus at Jim Rome. This superhero's coworker gets back from the bank, and then he takes those robbers to another bank, the blood bank. Yeah, I should have known not to trust you with that video. I think it's awesome. I love it. I can watch it all day long. And if you watch the guys get out of the car, man, that first guy out is big. That first dude out is big. And this guy comes around the counter and just blasts him right in the face with a kick. Kicked him right in the face, then hit him again, and then went to the next guy.
Just the reaction, just you see someone get beat up, you just go out. The first guy I saw, I just kicked him in the face, then I punched the other guy.
What do most guys normally do? A, they pick up the phone, they call 911. B, they pick up the phone and try to capture video. C, they get under the desk. Or D, maybe you've got a shotgun underneath that desk and you break it out and fire a shot in the air to scare some people off. Not this dude. He very calmly went outside and started wailing on guys. Just raining haymakers, hammer fists, kicks to the face. And then when that one guy was lying down, face first on the concrete, face first, pretending to be dead, he blasted him in the ribs again. It's just so good. Why would you wreck something perfect like that, clones? By saying things like, oh, hey, Rome, shocking. A guy who's into MMA works at a gas station. Who would have thunk it, Rome? Hey, Rome, great story. Until these same guys come back the next day with a gun. Hey, why do I think this guy would just rip it out of their hand? Out. Why are you clones all over this guy? MMA guy. He's a freaking hero. He stopped a robbery, and he beat the hell out of the bad guys. What is there not to understand about this? And the comments keep coming. All right, so I will reset that next hour. But when we come back, first things first, Oregon State quarterback Sean Mannion joins me. Coming off a huge year with big expectations once again next season. So we will have that, and I want to reset MMA guy. I can't believe how twisted you have that. Hour number 3 coming up next. This is CBS Sports Radio. Broadcasting from the O'Reilly Auto Parts studio, I'm Jim Rome. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Talking about that MMA story. You've got a convenience store clerk who breaks up a robbery. He's got a coworker who goes out, goes to the bank, gets cash, brings it back. Obviously, these guys cased the joint. Not well enough to know that they had a 5-time Sri Lankan MMAer of the year behind the counter. If they had really done their work and really cased that joint, they would have known that. But apparently they did enough work to know when the guy was coming back with cash. So this guy gets out of his car, some big guy jumps him, and the convenience store clerk, Myra Dasaniaka, jumps right into action and just starts wailing on dudes. I think it's amazing. It's one of my favorite videos ever. However, a lot of you went the other way with it and just used it as a convenient opportunity to crack on MMA guy. saying, hey, Rome, really shocking. A guy in MMA has to work at a gas station, and on and on and on. To me, you've got it all twisted. You're missing the point. The point is the guy, is a legitimate hero. There aren't very many of them. This guy's a hero. He broke up a robbery attempt, and he beat the hell out of the bad guys. And he's smart, and he's humble, and it's awesome. Garrett Mack, 23, comes to his defense. He tweets at Jim Rome, most MMA fighters work part-time jobs because they spend full-time hours in their MMA gym. It takes dedication. I'll buy that. The rest of you will turn that inside out and twist that around, too. In fact, the reporter on that story said that this is what he does. 5 days a week, he leaves the gas station and he goes to the gym. It's not something you do once a week, not if you want to be good. It is a commitment. It's just awesome to see, and I've worked with guys before, and guys that are really responsible with it don't want to teach those tactics to people for the wrong reasons. The thing that's scary is you teach jiu-jitsu or MMA, and it's just a whole nother tool set that guys can use for the wrong reasons on the street. Then you're really dangerous. This guy obviously is a guy who's not going to go unless he has to. But when the time came, he went, and it went badly for the bad guys. How do you twist that up? Why you turn that into an MMA guy take? Haven't even heard from Joaquin yet. Hey, Alvy, set this thing up again, the audio of him. Does this sound like a guy that can do no better than a job at a gas station? I really don't know why he works there, but the guy strikes me as bright and thoughtful. And when he had to go, I mean, how many of you would have been under a desk? How many of you would have just called the cops? This guy showed up when he had to, and trust me, this guy sounds smart.
They were waiting for them, but when they were running back, I caught one guy with a hook, so he fell down. So they just left him. Just kicked him till he lays down in the floor until he stopped moving, because I wasn't sure if he had like a knife or gun, so I wanted him to stop moving.
You know, again, these guys encasing that joint probably thought to themselves, all right, what do we have to do? We have to find out when that guy makes his money run. We know that he's not armed. We know we can handle him. It's easy. He pulls up. We rip the money out of his hand. We get back in the car. We're gone. Maybe one of them said, yeah, but what about that guy inside? Oh, you mean the guy that watches those hot dogs spin for 6 hours? The guy who refills the nacho cheese? The guy who jams the churros into the metal spokes? Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about that guy. He's way too fixated with keeping the Slurpee machine filled and the churros hot and mixing the nachos. Bad take. That did not work out well. All right, more thoughts on that momentarily. Phone lines are wide open nationwide, 1-800-636-8686. I'm joined by a quarterback for Oregon State. He was named to the Maxwell Award and Davey O'Brien Award watch list. He was second in the nation in passing yards last season with over 4,600 yards. He had 5 games of 400 or more yards passing. First 3-year captain in school history. Oregon State's going to open up against Portland State August 30th. Sean Mannion joins us now. Sean, great to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you, Sean. So I was talking to St. Louis Ram Chris Long earlier in the show, Sean, and he said that when he's getting ready for camp, it's like sitting out for an entire month waiting to get punched in the face. You're about a month away from the season opener. How anxious are you for it to get here?
I'm real anxious. We do a lot of stuff in the summer as a team, a lot of workouts and throwing on our own, but everyone's kind of chomping at the bit to even just get started at practice, and then a couple weeks into practice, you just want to play someone else for a change. So there's definitely a lot of anticipation for us as players, now getting into camp, and then, pretty soon, you can't wait to play your first game.
Speaking of summer, you got a lot done. You won the Counselor's Challenge at the Elite 11 camp. You won the accuracy competition at the Manning Passing Academy. What do those wins mean to you, and what do they do to your confidence?
Yeah, I was real excited to get to go to both of those camps as a camp counselor. It was a fun experience, and then I knew that there was a competition format there at both of them, and I wanted to win. I was there with a lot of the other top quarterbacks in college, and I looked at it as a chance to compete with them and show people what I could do, and I felt really good about how I played. I thought I played really well, and won both camps. And, in terms of confidence, I always try to be a confident guy, but it is a special experience to know you're going up against some of the other top guys around and win.
Oregon State quarterback Sean Mannion, my guest, you mentioned that you got to hang out or at least compete with some of the other top quarterbacks around the nation. In fact, at the Manning Passing Academy, you roomed with Jameis Winston. What was that experience like?
It was cool. I had never met him or wasn't really sure what to expect, but he was very friendly. He didn't big time anyone, and he really made a point to kind of talk to everyone and get to know people, and I was impressed by it.
You also had the chance to pick the brains of Peyton and Eli Manning. What was that like, and what were the types of things you guys talked about?
That was an awesome experience. I grew up, and Peyton was, when you look up quarterbacks in the dictionary, you're going to find Peyton and Eli Manning, and to get to spend some time with them and kind of pick their brain a little bit and just kind of be around them. I know we worked out with them twice in Louisiana, and just to kind of see the approach they take to a practice, to a drill, to a throw. They're just so focused on everything that they do, and they're always thinking of how it applies to a play or how it applies to, a certain read, and it's just so detailed. And, getting to hang out with them, be around them, and talk with them was, one of the best experiences I've ever had in football.
Oregon State quarterback Sean Mannion joins us. Sean, if it sounds like you're a coach's son, it's because you are. You played for your father, John, in high school. I'm curious, what was that like? I mean, do the roles of coach and dad ever get confused, or did he make it real clear, I'm coach?
No, I think my dad was great at it. He was coach when we were at practice, and then he was dad at home. I think it was great the way he was able to kind of to flip between those two roles. And as it turned out, I was always looking for advice on football, even when I was at home, so that was great, and he would give it to me. But, I think in terms of me kind of coming to love the game of football was really just the exposure was the first part of it. Just getting to play catch with my dad in the front yard or tagging along with him to practice and getting to just hang out with him, while we're both involved in football. That was just a really special experience, and I think that was kind of the start of my kind of growth into the game of football.
Last season you were second in the nation in passing, and you broke the Pac-12 conference record for offense. You could have entered the draft, but chose not to. How come?
I thought I could still improve. I felt there were still improvements I could make at the college level, and I definitely thought about it. But I felt that if at some point I want to, I want to try to be a player in the NFL, I want to know that I became the best college player I could before I did so. And I think I can still improve it at this level. And I know even in spring ball, I feel like I made a lot of strides, and look forward to keep doing so throughout camp and throughout the season. And I know I want to play in the NFL, this time next year. And I thought I would feel best about it, knowing that I did everything I could in college to improve first.
Oregon State quarterback Sean Mannion joining us for a few more moments. Last year it was so strange in a sense because you start off with a tough loss to Eastern Washington, then you win 6 straight, then you lose 5 straight, then you turn around, you manhandle Boise State in the bowl game. I mean, as you look back on last season, what kind of thoughts do you have?
I think we just have to work on consistency. Like you said, it was kind of an up and down year. We had a rough loss, to start the season at Eastern Washington. And then we run off 6 straight, and we were playing real good football. And then, we lose a close one to Stanford, and then we have a couple bad losses in a row. And then even the Oregon game, we're real close to winning that one as well. And I think if we just have to find a way to look week to week and not worry about 8 weeks down the road or 10 weeks down the road. We just have to say, what can we do to beat Portland State week 1, and then when that game's over, what can we do to beat Hawaii? And if we keep that week to week focus, I think that'll help us from kind of the hills and valleys that we experienced last year.
You mentioned Oregon. Everybody thinks they've got the best rivalry. Take me inside the Civil War, Oregon v. Oregon State. What's that like?
It's an exciting time. I know in the state of Oregon, people are either Beaver fans or they're Duck fans. I think the week of the Civil War is when you really see, people taking a side. I know for us as players, we try to treat it just like every other week, but we definitely get a sense of how much it means to the fans and the people in the community. And, it definitely gets you amped up for the game. And I know the experience in the stadium is awesome as well. People really come out and support their teams. And, I know our stadium's always rocking for the Civil War, and we've played down in Austin a couple times now, and that place is loud too. It's just it's a great experience for fans. You can tell, and then for us as players, the energy that people have, not only in the game but also in the whole week coming up to it is pretty amazing.
Sean, one last thing. Brandon Cooks caught 128 passes for you last season. I've had him on my show a couple of times. I mean, he's not only a great receiver, but he's a high-energy guy. He's now in the NFL. I can't imagine you can replace him with any one guy. How do you go about trying to get that, to fill that void, and what's it going to be like not having him around?
Right. Well, it'll be tough. There's no doubt about it. He won the Blitnikoff last year. He's a 1 in a million guy. So we're not going to have another guy just like him to replace him. Like you're saying, we have to replace his production somehow. And I think if we focus on, we have 128 balls that need to be caught by other people. I think it kind of simplifies it, and everyone needs to kind of step up into a bigger role. I know we got a guy, Victor Bolden, who's going to kind of replace Brandon's spot in our offense. And then we have a number of younger guys coming off a red shirt. We have Richard Mullaney, who started for us last year. A great group of tight ends, a great group of backs. So there's a lot of versatility in our group, and I think if everyone steps up collectively, we'll be able to replace his production. But we won't replace him with just one guy.
Sean, one last thing. I'm looking at a number. I mean, you've got some amazing stats. And when it's all said and done, you're going to be right up there with guys like John Elway, Andrew Luck, Aaron Rodgers. Now, the Pac-12 is loaded with excellent quarterbacks, a lot of guys who can run. But when I look at your numbers, if I'm not mistaken, your total career rushing yardage is almost minus 500. My question is it something you're a little embarrassed by, or maybe is it something you're proud of?
Well, I don't know. Minus 500. It's hard to be proud of that. I'm certainly, I definitely have a grip on the fact that I'm not gonna be a runner at any point. I feel that I do my best play from the pocket, and I think our offense is built to the point where it's a good fit for me as a player, and it's not one that I need to run. So it's something that I know isn't part of my game, and I just try to be good at all the other things, I guess.
You can look at this two ways. I mean, maybe running's not your thing, or maybe being a pro-style quarterback is. Depends on how you look at it. Sean Mannion, my guest. Sean, very nice job. Good to have you on the show. I appreciate the visit.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
You got it. No, that was not crack at all. I mean, he's a pro-style guy. That's his fit. That's the system he plays in. And as a college quarterback, that's a guy who's in command of things. That's amazing. You look back at last season, there was actually a time last year when he was still involved in the quarterback competition. And we're talking about a guy who's on pace to set the Pac-12 conference record for career passing yardage. And when you look at guys who played in that conference, John Elway, Andrew Luck, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he may end up on top of that entire list. And we go back to the other topic of the day, MMA guy. Rome, the majority of clones are insecure losers who dislike success. That's why they attack celebrities when they get fat, athletes who do drugs, and athletes who make mistakes. MMA guy has the stones to defend himself and becomes a national hero. A clone cashier would have hid under the counter and wet himself while the beating went on. Same with the clones attacking fat celebrities. No matter how many ho-hos Rob K stuffs down his gullet, he is still going to be more successful than you losers. So clones, get some self-awareness, and of course, remember the name. Dan in Denver.
Dan in Denver, remember the name.
So clones, get some self-awareness, and of course, remember the name. Dan in Denver. His subject is MMA guy's a hero, clones are nobodies. I'll meet you halfway. MMA guy is a hero. The guy broke up a robbery attempt. That makes him a hero. A guy beat down the bad guys. That makes him a hero. The guy jumped into a fight. And not a fight with one guy, but a fight with multiple assailants. Ian Soper at Jim Rome. Damn. I think that's the first MMA fighter I have respect for. He went Hope solo on those thugs. War MMA matches at gas stations.
Going psychotic, she's beating people up, and we need help.
Right. Like, Myra Desaniaka is going psychotic. He's beating hoods up. We need help. Apparently, Dana White saw it. Dana White saw the tape, and he loved it. I'm saying, why stop there, Dana? Sign the guy. Sign the guy. I loved it. I don't know how you get this all twisted. I don't know how you see that as anything other than awesome. Lucas M. Ross commenting on my Facebook page. Yeah, he works and trains full time. What do you haters accomplish daily other than writing in lame takes to Rome and eat the Pop-Tarts mama made for you? Exactly. This guy comes to a new country, holds down a job, trains daily, breaks up a robbery attempt, and beats the bad dudes down, and they ran away and jumped in the getaway car. And that's a bad thing. If that's a bad thing, what's a good thing? I don't follow. I could watch that thing all day long. I love it. The guy jumps into action and just blasts the first guy in the face with a kick, hits him again, and then he immediately stands in and starts raining haymakers on some other guy. I love the way, too, they left their guy out there. These hoods are in their getaway car, and they thought about coming to get back the guy who was left behind. And then they just left him there, and they drove off. But then again, the guy that was unconscious was the fat guy, who obviously could not defend himself. What? How were they going to get the fat guy off the pavement back into the car when Myra was still there, standing watch? And again, I love the reporter saying, and he did what he does. He got him to submit. He got him in submission. No, the guy was flat out on his face, ma'am, and he just kicked him in the ribs one more time to make sure. If you're thinking about getting up, don't. You know what, he's lucky. Have you ever seen that move where a guy stomps on a guy's head on the pavement? He's lucky he didn't get any of that. And because would anybody blame him if he did? Like he said, I didn't know if he had a gun. I didn't know if he had a knife. How many times have you seen that move where a guy just comes over, lifts his leg up, and brings it down as hard as he can on a guy's head? Stomps him like a grape, you know, like Hainsworth. Albert Hainsworth. He's lucky he didn't do that. The guy had class. He had compassion. He was waiting for the cops. Oakland A's pitcher Sonny Gray is booked for tomorrow. Jim, that gas station guy kicked ass. Got me so fired up. Just went to a gas station, bought and drank a 24-ounce energy drink, and knocked out 3 people that were pumping gas. Pretty sure they were getting ready to rob the place, especially the old man. Yours, MMA guy. Good job, Blaze. Hey, Blaze, I'm going to give you an F for that, because you're so much better than that. I mean, I'll tell you what, a lot of you need an attitude adjustment. How do you see something negative and then turn it on its head and make it a positive? Or how do you see something positive and then turn it on its head and make it a negative? Why would you do that? Man, that's why your lives are so empty. That's why you see everything as half full. Anyway, Myra, I got your back. In fact, I'd love to have this guy on the show. Let's find Myra. Let's talk to him about what happened. Hey, Rome. If only that guy fought that hard in high school, he might have a better job right now. Listen, I really don't know about his background other than he was a 5-time national Sri Lankan champ. I've never spoke to him. I've never met him. I'm only going by what I saw in the videotape and in the interview after. He strikes me as bright. He seems smart. He seems thoughtful. And I don't look at that guy and see failure. I don't really know how long he's been here. I don't know how he ended up in Houston. I don't know what he's doing there. But he obviously is spending time in the gym. And again, most of us would never face that situation in our life. And at go time, the guy reacted. So why are you killing this guy about, hey, Rome, if the guy worked really hard in high school, he wouldn't be working at a gas station. And the guys who are sending that email in, I mean, really, are you doing that much better? Is your life really that much better? I'm curious. Titans of industry, land barons, CEOs. Hey, Rome, I had my assistant write this in between my meetings because I'm a CEO working 14 hours a day. Hey, Rome, I'm in Europe. We are buying up companies as we speak. I can't really write this myself. I dictated this to my assistant. Come on. All right, we'll come back. I want to talk about it's something you'll like, or you won't, but it involves somebody who is fat. And there's a reason for me to do this. I will have that for you next. 1-800-636-8686. You're in the jungle. I am Jim Rome. This would happen. Dude, Jim, are you kidding me? Myra is awesome. The only thing wrong with this story is that AM/PM has not already put a statue of this guy outside the convenience store. Regards, Seahawk fan. I knew it. I knew that would jump the weekend. Randall, WFI in the OC. Fact. Rome, that MMA guy is a total hero. I'm sure his aggression will never be used down the road to hurt someone. Signed, Kai.
So I fucking ran up behind him with a hatchet. Smash, smash, smash. Yeah.
Wow. You gotta be kidding me about that one line. Rome, that MMA guy is a total hero. I'm sure his aggression will never be used down the road to hurt someone. Signed, Kai.
So I fucking ran up behind him with a hatchet. Smash, smash, smash. Yeah.
Eric in Green Bay, you remember Kai? The itinerant surfer. Kai would just travel the nation, homeless, town to town, playing ukulele, partying, making everybody feel good. In Central California, he came up on an assault, and he did what he just said. He smashed a guy with a hatchet, and was a legend, absolute legend, until not long thereafter, he allegedly killed a guy. And they just keep coming. Day Tripper 20 at Jim Rome. Learn a lesson from this failed robbery, fatties. Snitches get stitches, and all that eating gets you beaten. Clint Bruno at Jim Rome. I'm sure that MMA guy had a bad coach, or he'd be fighting in the UFC right now. Signed, my high school coach cost me my pro career, guy. This guy's not negative or bitter. He seems pretty content. Anyway, how was your weekend? What did you do? I'll actually tell you about my weekend. Got my two sons and my wife Janet. Got them together. We made our annual run to Del Mar. Del Mar is in San Diego. Janet and I met in San Diego, so obviously that town's got special meaning to us. But when we go now, we go to Del Mar, where the surf meets the turf, and we go there for two reasons. Number one, the track. Incredible horse meat. I'm starting to hear this too about shared belief, that in sports, you've always got that East Coast, West Coast thing. Well, the East Coast is cracking on the West Coast horses, saying, why don't you come back here and run, tough guy? You're nobody if you can't come back here. Understand, as a Los Angeles native, as somebody who was born in California, Del Mar is an unbelievable track. I love Del Mar. I love the track. I love the meet. And we are pointing towards the Pacific Classic. You have a chance to run in that race, you do it. Why do I need to go back east? And taking nothing away from those East Coast races, they're amazing. And it's an honor to even to be asked. But it's also an honor to be at Del Mar and to be in races like that. So, if you're out here, if you work out here and you live out here, the trainers, the jockeys, the owners, we all want to run at Del Mar. It's an amazing track. So we go down to Del Mar. We try to go every summer, and I go for two reasons. One, the track. And two, and I mean this sincerely, we go to the Grand Del Mar. It's an amazing resort. Literally, I think it's the nicest resort I've ever been to in my life. So the fact that I can get in my car and go to it once a summer, twice if we're really lucky, is an amazing thing. The Grand Del Mar is just crazy. Like, I'm poolside this weekend, and some guy rolls up on me and says, hey, Rome, you know LeBron got married here, right? And I said, I know that. He said, you know Reggie Bush just got married here, right? I said, I know that too. It's like dudes are getting hitched there. Guys like that should tell you all you need to know about that place. And I've got no relationship with them. This is not an infomercial. I'm just saying it's amazing. And if you're ever in San Diego or you're out here and you want to take a big swing, and let me be real about this. It's a big swing. It's a world-class resort. Understand that going in. There may be some sticker shock, but it's incredible. If you're ever in San Diego or Del Mar and you feel like taking that big swing, hit up the Grand Del Mar. I don't say things like this very often, but if I need a good meal, I go to Javier's. If I need a world-class weekend, I go to the Grand Del Mar. Here's hoping Shared Belief makes it to the Pacific Classic in a few weeks, because that's where I'll be staying if he does. I'm looking to go back. And I know when I do, somebody's going to say to me, hey, man, you know LeBron got married here, right? Hell, I wish I got married there. I wonder if anybody pulled LeBron aside and said, hey, LeBron, you know Van Smack likes to come here once a summer. and hang out by the pool. I wonder if anybody hit him with that. Or, hey, Reggie, we haven't seen Rome yet. You know Rome comes here, right? Rome who? Oh, yeah, Rome. Yeah. Anyway, awesome. Has anybody gone to Del Mar and checked out the races? Got off to a tough start, without question. But the Pacific Classic is coming up, I want to say, on the 24th, and we are pointing towards that. We have never run in that race. Fingers crossed. And the Grand is an incredible place, I'm telling you. Check it out. And even if you don't stay there, just go by there, have a drink, have a meal. It's a beautiful property. I don't know if you know this or not, LeBron got married there. And so did Reggie Bush. Come on now. Did you find Myra? We found Myra. The convenience store icon will be on the show tomorrow. This guy.
Just the reaction, you see someone get beat up, you just go out. The first guy I saw, I just kicked him in the face, then I punched the other guy.
That's what he did. He kicked the first guy in the face and he punched the other guy. But what he's not saying is he punched the other guy repeatedly. So that's tomorrow. All right, we will take a break. Still have open phones. The before and after picture. An athlete. Before and after. An amazing picture. Go to Facebook.com/Jim Rome so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to put it up during this break. Go to Facebook.com/Jim Rome. You're listening to CBS. It is sponsoring this segment. Call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com for a free home loan review. That number again is 800-QUICKEN, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS number 3030. Hey, Rome, the only way 95% of the clones are seeing the Grand Del Mar is if they're vacuuming the floors. That's a bit steep. 95 is a big number. Yeah, I mentioned it's a really big swing. I said it's a world-class resort. It's a really, 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 really nice place. It's a beautiful place. And not everybody, it may not be for everybody. It's a very, very nice place. I just had an amazing weekend. And I don't talk about that very often, but it was an amazing weekend, so I wanted to share that. And when we go to the track, I try and get over there. And if I don't stay there, definitely hit some of the Magic Blue there. America loves a bad before and after pick. But baseball is tripping on a good one right now. A great before and after. You know those pictures at the checkout line of some sex symbol who overhauled his or her face? An old heartthrob who added 20 inches to his waist? Well, former MLBer Dimitri Young, do you remember him? He went the exact opposite way. Now, you probably remember Dimitri Young for a couple of things. Good hitter, great eater. But you never want your body weight to be higher than your batting average, especially when you're as good a hitter as he was. Especially when you hit 292. Problem is he bent the scales at a reported 297. And if it says 297, then you can bet it's more than $3 bills. So he retired, he went away, never to be heard from ever again until this past Friday when he showed up at the Reds-Nats game looking like this. Well, go to Facebook and check it out. It's incredible. Facebook.com/Jim Rome. I mean, dude looks like he dropped a full $1.50. He's half the guy, literally, that he used to be. Half. I mean, there is no way that is Dimitri Young. And he probably gets that a lot. He gets that a lot, which is why he rocks this hat. He rocks a lid with his formerly fat face on the hat. So he can just point to it whenever somebody doubts it's him. Like, you know you've lost a lot of weight when you need a constant visual aid just to support that it really is you. No way that's you, Dimitri. No way. No way you're the meat hook. Yes, I am. Prove it. Look at my hat. It's so funny. I mean, what a great sense of humor. He's got the fat Dimitri Young on his head. But he's walking around and he's lost half a person. I mean, the guy literally looks like he lost 150 pounds. Ask me, the I used to be fat hat is a huge untapped market. I mean, could somebody get Rex Ryan one for the sideline? And more importantly, I right now am dropping the patent on I used to be skinny hat. That's mine. I own that. I'm already taking pre-orders right now from Tanya Harding, Diego Maradona, and Patrick Chewing. The I used to be thin hat. Man, what happened to you? You sure let yourself go. Yeah, but I used to look like this, and point to the hat. Wow, looks like you've packed on a few LBs. Yeah, but I used to be hot. Remember when I looked like this? So I'm going the other way. Dimitri, big ups. Big ups. Bro, you look incredible. You are now way under the LB Mendoza line. The rest of you use Dimitri Young as an inspiration. No names mentioned. Bartolo, Prince, Panda. Lose the fat, get the hat. Lose the fat, get the hat. Go to Facebook.com/Jim Rome. Look at this guy. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. What I don't know is how he did it. He said, I just did it the right way. Diet and exercise. If you've got a really, really good plan and you're extremely overweight, you could probably lose 15 pounds a month doing it the right way without getting gutted, without getting cut. Or if you do it the wrong way, you could probably gain 15 pounds a month. You know, portion control, lean and mean, never eat past 7 p.m. I eat several small meals throughout the day. I used to sit down and have 3 gigantic meals. Now I have 6 small meals. No, it's easy. It's easy to carry small meals around with me all day long. It's easy to stop whatever it is I'm doing and have a meal every 2 hours. I love it. Portion control, yo. It's been 90 minutes. Time to pound some almonds and carrots. Oh, it's been 64 minutes. Time for a small protein shake. Meal number 13 on this Wednesday, going right down the hatch. Here's some carrots and blueberries. It's easy. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. That'd be like me eating a small meal during every single commercial break during the show, or you joining me. All right, when we come back, well, after we slam this 14 small meal, can't be that hard, right? Skim milk, almonds, blueberries, protein shakes, cottage cheese, almonds, honeydew. Easy. We'll come back and wrap things up. I'm going to take a short break and have a small meal. And then I'll come back and take a phone call, and then I'll have another small meal. And then I'll put on my fat hat. Dimitri, good job, bro. Extremely proud of you. You look awesome. Your head looks a little bigger than it used to, but you look awesome. That's because the rest of you is smaller. I get it. Big ups. You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. Find the brake parts you need at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Brands you trust like Brake Best Select, and Wagner Thermal Quiet at guaranteed low prices. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Miller in the D tweets at Jim Rome. Dimitri Young's big head looks like something out of NBA Jam. Johnny Smallmouth at Jim Rome. Hey, Rome, Ortiz has nothing on me. Signed that minor league skipper who tossed air grenades at the ump from the mound. Decca Ranger at Jim Rome. Hey, Jim, there's nothing wrong with watching things after you flip them. How do you think I keep the burgers from burning? Signed T.O. Chris in Seaport. Myra thinks he's tough. We'll see what happens when he calls me a coward, a liar, and a thief. Signed Buzz Aldrin, stealing taquitos.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Buzz is an icon unto himself. He would not be stealing taquitos or money or anything else.
And a thief.
Huge call brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Turn your favorite 5-Hour Energy concoction into a share of $100,000. For more details, go to 5houryummification.com. 5houryummification.com. My thanks to Chris Long, Marvin Lewis, Sean Mannion. Tomorrow, Sonny Gray and Myra D. Kyle Brandt, Dave Whelan, and Alvin DeLauro make up the XR4TI crew. I've got Rome on CBS Sports Network, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. Steve Keim is my guest. See you then. We're out.